SS Rajamouli and James Cameron are together yet again for the promotion of Avatar Fire and Ash, and actually traveling to go catch the film in IMAX, in one of the best IMAX in the country. So we'll definitely share some bits from that. But this is a fun combo because SS Rajamouli is considered like a James Cameron of India because of the kind of epic scale films he makes, the big storytelling he does. What James Cameron has been doing for many years, almost decades. And during the whole craze of Triple R, when SS Rajamouli went to US, he met him there, and James Cameron loved the film. He was sharing his thoughts with him, and I think that video, did I react to it? I don't remember. Maybe it's on the channel. But that was really special considering he looks up to him so much. So them coming together again, talking about films. Let's hear two legends talk. If you haven't seen the original video, I'll put the link description. You can check it out there. There's a reaction or substitute at all. I'll be pausing, talking in the middle, sharing my thoughts throughout. And I hope you enjoy this reaction.
Mr. Rajamouli, how are you?
I'm very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you for doing this. I'm fine.
Quite a big setup this time. They also have an audience, I am sure. And the audio quality not that great from James Cameron's side.
I'm a little tired. We've been bopping all over the world. We went to Los Angeles, Paris, China, and Tokyo, Japan. So, and now I'm back home in New Zealand for 2 days for our New Zealand premiere.
Wow,
You've been on the...
He has really aged, so for him to do that much and still making movies, that's a lot.
On these?
I think, sir, it is at least for me. I get so tensed up before the release of the film. At least this keeps my mind occupied. The promotionals keeps me occupied.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Because otherwise, before the film comes out, I don't know about you, but I'm always very nervous. And if I don't have something to focus on.
For last two, like Avatar 1 made $3 billion and Avatar 2 made $2 billion, and people are saying this one also needs to make that much money to even break even. So I would say you would be nervous.
I'd just be pacing back and forth all day.
Absolutely the same thing here, sir.
Well, I look forward to our dialogue. And once again, thank you for doing this. I know you must be very busy with Varanasi now.
Oh,
yes, sir, but it's an absolute pleasure.
All right. Well, if I can reciprocate, when your new film is coming to market, please keep me in mind. I love to have a dialogue with other filmmakers. I think we need more of that.
Thank you, sir. We'll definitely do that.
He did say in the Triple R meet that he would love to come on a set and see how he shoots and everything.
Thanks for the offer. First of all, I would like to thank because you made me the first person, or probably the only person amongst 1.45 billion people, Indians, to watch Avatar Fire and Ash. That feels very special. Thank you very much for that.
It's our pleasure, and thank you once again. Thank you so much for doing this. I think it's important for filmmakers to talk and compare, similarities in their mental creative process and in their technique and so on. I'd love to come to your set. May I come to your set sometime and watch you create your magic?
Oh, that would be an absolute pleasure, sir. You are most welcome.
Considering that Varanasi is still like only 60 days is done, and I was thinking that they already finished shooting. That's not the case. So I think there's plenty of opportunity for him to come, and maybe if they go out somewhere shoot, or maybe Ramoji if they're shooting, so that he can come.
And I mean, not just me, not just my unit, my entire film industry will be thrilled.
Well, I can't think of anything I'd rather do. So I think you're shooting for a while, right? On the new film on Varanasi?
Yes, sir. It's almost a year now, and another 7-8 months to go. Yes, we are in the middle of the shoot.
Okay, plenty of time. Well, tell me when you're doing something fun. I don't know, something with tigers.
Yeah.
You already
done
that.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Sir,
let's come to Avatar now.
Watching Fire and Ash was an absolute pleasure. I mean, hats off to you for creating those complex sequences, those visuals, those characters. I mean, I can go on and on. But for me, I was like a child in the theater watching them, the Wind Traders, Ash people, the new characters. Warang was absolutely stunning. But I thought for me, after I come back from the theater, when as it wouldn't leave my mind, your film wouldn't leave my mind. What really got me hooked was Jake's moral dilemma.
Oh,
I
spoilers.
thought Avatar, the first Avatar had it. It was so strong, Jake's moral dilemma between
Yes.
the Navi and his own people. I
Yes.
thought, can he ever beat it in the coming films? Can he ever beat it? But I think in this, it is much more stronger. I mean, if I talk a little bit more about it, probably I'll be a spoiler. I don't
There's
want to
already
be that, but
We'll dance around the spoilers. I call them teasers.
yes, yes. So my question, my actual question is that Avatar has like innumerable subworlds in it. There are so many characters, strong characters, fun characters, complex characters, and I'm sure you have many more characters in your mind than in the film.
Correct.
So when you have so much of information, so much of playthings around you, which one do you give precedence? The emotional crux or the characters, or can't you separate them? I want to know at the writing table what drives you forward.
I think, look, for me, a really critical part of working with the actors to create these interesting and rounded and quirky and unique characters is the writing process. So on these films, I worked with other screenwriters to shape the story, but then I took it and I ran with it myself, and I wanted to individuate each character. Now, some of the characters were new, and some of them were for actors I'd worked with before, like Sam Worthington and Zoe Saldana, because they were in the first film, and Stephen Lang. And I wanted to hear it in the sound of the dialogue that I knew it would sound like coming from them. So and there's a lot of me in each one of the characters: the stern father, the misunderstood son, even the strong women. I don't know, maybe I was female in a number of past lives or something. For some reason, I can relate to that. But I think, the more likely explanation is that I've always been attracted to strong women. My mother was a very strong figure in our family, as is the case with a lot of people. So the writing gives me something useful to help the actors. I always believe it's the director's job. Yes, you're supposed to be the visionary and the architect and all that, but really in the actual moment of creation, it's really, I feel I'm just there to be helpful. What do you need? What helps you? What prompting or what discussion or what creative dialogue helps the actor in that moment? And every actor, as you know, is different. So you have to key in to their different creative processes.
It's interesting because they've already finished shooting part 4, I think, if I'm not wrong. Because before the release of Way of Water, they had finished part 3 and they were starting the shoot for part 4. That's how much advanced they are in. So right now, part 3 is releasing. I think part 4 work has already, like the post production has already started. So maybe 2 years later it will come out. I don't know if part 5 is happening or not. I think he said 6 or 7 parts are the total, but I don't know. But for him to still be in touch with the way his writing process of way back when he ever wrote this, or maybe changes have been happening over time. Maybe in the editing also they would have changed something. But to know that, still like be that invested for so long into one project, it's insane.
But it gives me a way to be useful to them, having written the characters and thought through all of these conflicts and I think of them as collisions. The characters are colliding with each other. Every scene there's some tension. Maybe they're attracted but something's keeping them apart. Maybe they hate each other like Jake and Quaritch, but maybe there's something that's pulling them together that has to be resolved. And it's those little discoveries when you go along in the writing process. One of my big discoveries, I love that you focus on Jake's moral dilemma, because that was a critical part for me. And to me, there are even dimensions within that. His dilemma is, I'm a warrior. I'm supposed to defend my people. But if I take them to battle on a big
They will die.
scale,
Yeah.
as he knows he can do, he's done it in the past. If he gathers the clans together and if he takes the battle to the enemy, he knows they're technologically superior. They have vast numbers, and many of his people will die. And that's the great dilemma of leadership, right? And Jake has to resolve that for himself. But he also has the dilemma of being a father. He now can't be that young, reckless guy that just jumps onto a creature and tames it, and he's got a family, he's got a responsibility. And he knows if he brings them into battle, his own sons, his own children could die. But yet, and it kills him, it tortures him to not fight. And of course, as an audience, we want to see the gunslinger go out and dig up the guns and go back into town and shoot the bad guy. We know it's a myth that goes back thousands of years, the reluctant warrior, right? So I'm not creating new ground with that, but I thought that somehow juxtaposing him as the reluctant warrior and the father confronting a generational issue.
It's something I, would have loved to watch in Bahubali, that the reluctance of going to. I think Amarendra Bahubali had that, like he didn't want to confront his brother and mother, and he didn't want to say things are going wrong. And the moment he says that to save Devasena, and then he leaves, like you would want, like maybe he was in the dilemma: should I like be the king? Like I don't know, but maybe he never thought of it. That's how pure his character was. But I think with Shiva's character, maybe they could have thought of, like, this is something I wanted. Like after hearing the story, he's wondering, why should I fight him? Of course, the dharma and the rightful, he's a rightful heir and he has to fight for the justice and all. But he's a young man, right? Like for him to, I wanted a piece of story where he is processing the information. Like, why is he not questioning that Amrinder, my father left me and my mother? He didn't even think of that and all of that. So like maybe he had his own dilemma, and should I go war? Should I do it? Like maybe the story didn't demand that, or maybe it was too much. But that's something I would have liked in Bahubali also.
With respect to, being this legendary figure, I thought that might be an interesting problem. And Sam Worthington, from the first film to the second film, he became a father. He has 3 sons. So
did you know the role was supposed to go to Matt Damon, and I think James Cameron was also gonna give him like a percentage of the movie rights, so he could have made, like, become a billionaire by now, but he refused to do, I think, the Born Legacy films or something. Or some other thing he chose over this because of the scheduling conflict and all. And now we know everything is history.
it was much more available to him to play the heartbreak of the loss of a child, which they're, coming out of movie 2 into movie 3, they're under this cloud or this shadow of loss.
Oh yeah, that happened, right? He lost his son. You don't much remember the storyline. It's been so, I because you don't rewatch it. I just saw it once in theater. It was amazing experience, but you don't take the story and everything with you. Like you need to have a refresh. So I will do that before I go to watch the part 3 version.
Anyway, thank you for that, because it's one of the things that was my focus as the screenwriter on this.
As you were mentioning, 2 of the beautiful conflicts in the film was between Miles and Jake, and also, of course, between Neytiri and Warang.
Exactly.
Come to the first one. In the first film, we were very clear. I clearly hate Miles. But
Right.
as you slowly started going forward, and especially in Fire and Ash, I want to hate him, but I can't. I want to side with him. I want to love him, but I can't. So I think you took a special affinity towards Miles. It feels like that. The conversations between Jake and Miles were like it happens a couple of times in the films. They were like beautifully written. There was fun. There was a lot of angst going through them,
Yes.
but the conversations were fun. They were beautiful. But I think you have a special affinity towards Miles. Did you start falling in love with him as you started developing the character?
I think I always
I'm guessing Miles. I'm very bad at the names of the characters, so I'm getting Miles is a villain who dies in part one, then his conscious comes back as a Navi in like in an avatar in the second part, and he's I think he also has a son. The human kid in second part is his son. That was revealed, right? Yeah.
loved him, but I kept him very simple in the first film. And
Hmm.
then I threw some obstacles in his path in the second film because he's sort of essentially reincarnated in a
Yeah.
new avatar, if you will. He's taken flesh again, same personality, same mind, but now he's questioning, he has this big identity crisis. Am
Yeah.
I still that guy who was human and hated this world and was at war with it? And now I'm in the body of my enemy? And how does he reconcile that? How does he reconcile having died with the memories of having been a father of this boy? And the way I played it, as you can see, and it plays out in the new film, is that he clings to that fatherhood as a way of cementing his identity, essentially saying to
Hmm.
himself, yes, I am that guy. I am a legitimate extension of that guy. I am this boy's father. He chooses that. Even though in movie two, he kind of rejects it. He crushes his own skull to sort of try to tell himself, I'm a new person. I can be whatever I want to be. But he goes back, he's drawn back to that role and that character that he used to be. So I had a lot of fun with Stephen Lang. Around creating Miles, and then obviously there's a new layer here, which is that Jake and Quaritch have to ally with each other briefly to try to protect Spider. So I kept sort of thinking, well, what is
That
Spider?
was
What
a
is he in
spoiler.
all of this? And I realized he's actually the intersection point of all the different character pathways. He's the one that glues together Quaritch and Jake in a way that becomes complex, because otherwise they're just two guys trying to kill each other for 3 hours, and that's boring, right? So that became more interesting. He's the one that gets caught in the middle of Neytiri's hatred of all humans. She becomes essentially a racist. For her, it's if you're blue, you're good. If you're pink, you're bad. And I just chose pink because, it could be pink, it could be brown, it could be some shade, some warm tone versus their beautiful navy blue. And so Neytiri, Spider gets caught in the middle of all of her hatred. Spider has a relationship with Kiri, and Kiri becomes a very important character as well. So I suddenly realized that he was the glue that glues everybody together in this story, which puts a lot of pressure on our young actor, Jack Champion, to be very nuanced and to have all these different relationships.
Yes, in ATD, I mean, when we first saw her in the first Avatar, the first visual of her was like so beautiful. You fall in love with her at the first sight. And here in Fire and Ash, the moment you see her, you know that her heart is full of hatred, pain
Yeah.
of
Hmm.
losing
Yeah.
her son.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, feels bad for her. That is not how you want to see her.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And within a few minutes, within 15, 20 minutes, we get to see
Spoilers.
Warang, and you immediately know these two women are going to come together. And from that moment, I am just waiting for the face off, waiting for the face off. How are these women going to come together? But the end that you gave, again, I can't give the spoiler, was like, wow, really hit me hard.
uh, that that makes me excited. I think because the thing is that when you something that James Cameron gets a lot, that he gets over intelligent. Oh, he has made this world, and he'll just show you the whole flight, and in the water he'll just sort of show you how amazing it looks like. Maybe it doesn't add much to the story, you can trim it off, but no, he's like, I created this whole damn thing, putting in millions of dollars of money. Enjoy what I'm showing you. And in that, the story also needs to be captivating, that I care it doesn't become a Nat Geo documentary of some animals on this futuristic or alien planet. So the story, the conflicts of, the fight. Like second one I really enjoy, like it almost felt like, when you go to a different town or city, like which I have gone through, you know which you get a culture shock, which these different Navi people go to the water people and they feel, out of place. And that is such a human emotion thing, whenever people migrate, that's what they face, the culture shock, being different, what it means to be different and stand out, so exploring the human tendencies in a fictional, larger than life, fantastical alien planet storytelling. That's what it's all about, right? And that's what you don't want to miss when you go big.
Thank you. Well, let me share an interesting story with you. So, I don't think I'm the best screenwriter in the world, and sometimes it takes me going through the telling of the story with my cast over a period of time to find things that other people would consider obvious in retrospect. So it seems pretty obvious that Neytiri and Varong should meet in battle in the first attack of the Ash people. It wasn't in the script. But one day I was sitting there and I said, Varong really needs an interesting creature that's different from everyone else. And that wasn't in the script either. So the designers ran off and they came up with this amazing kind of four-winged animal. And then I said, hey, wouldn't it be great if Neytiri and Varong fought in the middle? And everybody was like, oh, it's not in the budget, it's not in the script. I'm like, no, but it's going to be great, guys. Neytiri could just fly at her and they can fight like two eagles, And of course, it's one of the best action moments in the film. But, to me, what's wonderful about the process is because performance capture is relatively inexpensive compared to live action, most of our cost is in all the finish work, trying to get the CG up to a level of some degree of photoreality. So the performance capture is relatively inexpensive. We just go on for months, finding our way through the story. And so we just made that up. And we just captured it, and we had a lot of fun with that, So anyway,
that's an interesting point, that the actual cost of where all the money is going in to make such big film is in the final result which you are trying to output. But for shooting, like as you said, like live action is that you have to get them in costume, you need people, lights, cameras, everything you want. You have to go to location, charges, money, everything. But in a what was mocap suit and in a studio, it's same studio, you have hired it or you own it now. By this time I'm guessing they have owned it only. Then you can have the gears with you all day, shoot how much you want, shoot whatever you want, take all. It's just capturing data, the computer is just capturing data which is required to take the film ahead. Just go through some videos about how motion capture works and all that, you understand what I'm saying. But it's just about capturing data. Do as much as you want. Later, if you don't want, delete it. Like, who cares? Like, you already have. It's just about the time and of the actors and the people involved. That's it. No other cost.
For me, it's a constant process of discovery. I almost feel by the time I get in, and I don't know if you feel this as well, by the time I'm in post-production or very late in the process, I feel like the film is just telling me what it is. That I may have gone in with strong ideas, but as I get through it, it's like, all right, now the film is telling me what it must be, and I just need to accept it and go with it and try to reinforce that. I almost feel like the way an actor must feel working with a director, which is, okay, you come in with a lot of ideas, a lot of energy, a lot of passion, but at a certain point, you're going to get guided and shaped toward an end goal. I feel like that's happening to me. It's almost like the actor's energy is now coming back to me and telling me what the film is supposed to be. And I think we all grew up with the Hitchcock myth, right? That everything is perfectly architected, everything is perfectly storyboarded. And man, I would hate to live in that world for years on end. All the work's done up front. That's boring.
Yes, absolutely, sir. As we start capturing the sequences, as we start putting them together in the editing table towards the post-production, the initial ideas, many times where we started, seems they are not working. A new shape is coming through, and
Yes.
It is very difficult for me to either bring the original idea to the form or just give into the new idea. It's a constant struggle for me. I can't make the choices so easily.
Yeah. Well, this is where your filter, your very refined filter of sensibility that you've curated.
I wish like he shares something from Bahubali or Triple R, like a moment like that.
Within yourself and with your team around you, that's where that comes into play, right? Does this fit or does it not fit? Does it push us further in the direction we're trying to go or not? And I would say that's instinct.
As you were talking about VFX, I want to ask this question. Don't get me wrong, I have utmost respect towards the artists. I think they should be paid their worth, their time, their artistry, no doubt about it. But the VFX cost has been shooting through the roof. I mean,
Yes.
what costed X dollars just a couple of years back, the same shot, the same complexity is suddenly going through like 4x, 5x.
Yes.
I mean, you have a big budget, probably you can absorb the cost, but for filmmakers,
We do have a big budget, but it's still it's going up. It's becoming unsustainable.
and also on the other side, we are seeing the big studios, Rhythm and Hughes and MPC, the big studios are folding because they are not able to take the financial strain. So, how do you propose? How do you think or suggest that?
Very interesting question.
Is there
Relevant.
is there a solution to this problem? How do we go forward with this?
I think you're talking about the big existential risk of the current marketplace. You and I make films for theaters. Theater revenues have come down significantly globally due to initially COVID, but that really was just the opening of the door for streaming to start to reprogram people and habituate them to the convenience of taking in all their media in the home. And so we see about a 30 to 35% drop globally in revenues. At the same time, as you say, VFX, all production costs are going up, but VFX are going up on almost a log curve. And a lot of the big vendors are going out of business. They're not able to have a positive margin. So I see this as a huge risk to the kind of fantastic, whether it's science fiction or fantasy or epic or historical films. I'm even thinking like a Titanic. These are the kind of films that it won't be possible for studios to greenlight anymore. And that really worries me. And I don't think there are easy answers. I think we just have to continue to fight to defend that amazing
I just realized he made Titanic also.
experience in the cinema, because I think the cinema experience is sacred. Streaming's fine. And to the extent that it can provide budgets for writers and actors and all that sort of thing and keep the work going, that's great. We need that. As long as the audience remembers that there's something that happens in a theater that isn't like in the home. And people always talk about the communal experience. I think that's part of it. But I think it's a question of the balance of control. When you're in the home, you have you can pause it, you can stop, you've got a remote, or if you're consuming it.
You can escape the escapism. You can come out of the immersion, and that's what happened. Like theaters forces you to just be involved and don't get distracted. And that feeling, that's why I find it very hard to watch films at home, because if I watch it on TV, then someone comes up, something happens, you have to stop. If I watch it on my phone, it's just too small. Even there, you get notifications and this and that, and it's not a great, immersive experience. So even I got a projector, but even that is not, the answer in that manner. Maybe a better projector. But yeah, that is, I find a issue, watching films at home. You don't get the total immersion you want.
A smaller device, you can pause it. So you don't have that unbroken chain of experience coming in through your senses, right? And I think it's that thing of, if you want to have that sense of transport, that sense of wonder, going to another place, inhabiting other people, because that's really what we do in the theater. We inhabit other people through these wonderful actors, through these performances, because our minds are programmed with, some kind of mirror neurobiology that says, I'm going to feel what you feel. If I see you emoting, I'm going to feel what you feel. So the depth of that feeling, I believe, is much greater in a cinema than it is in the home. And we have to defend that. I mean, we could get into the details of the business, and maybe generative AI may play a role in bringing costs down and so on. But the important thing, I think, is for us as a civilization is to keep that flame of cinema, of this incredible art form, keep it alive.
Yeah, I see a common connection in Pandora. When once we enter into the cinema, I think all of us get interconnected. All the audience get interconnected with each other. Not physically, but all of us are in the same emotional plane or something. Like we get connected. Coming to that point, I don't know whether if you remember, Avatar had the single most biggest collection from my city, Hyderabad, IMAX, Prasad's IMAX. The Avatar ran for 1 year.
Wow, that's great. At the
It's not IMAX anymore.
IMAX
Record.
at the IMAX in Hyderabad.
Yes, IMAX in Hyderabad. It's no longer IMAX. That's a different issue. But at that time, it was. So you were talking about the cinematic experience. I'm coming to that problem. So the big ticket films like Avatar or all the big entertainers are still finding the footfalls for the audience into the theaters.
I think he was gonna say you can take your movie name also.
Yes.
In the big screens, but the big screens form a very small percentage of the overall theaters. And you yourself mentioned the footfalls are coming down. So what do you think that should be done to increase the audience interest in coming to the theaters and watch the films? Is it the sole responsibility of the content makers to create such a content, or is there something that can be done in the exhibition sector itself? Can be something radically be done with the theaters that the audience find it interesting to come to the theater to watch the films?
I think the large screen formats, 4DX, IMAX, and like I think there are more and more that's happening. Dolby sound, and I think if you give an experience which is like nothing can beat that. Like if I nowadays if you go to theaters, sometimes they are so bad. Like I could have watched it at home also. Some people now have home theaters. So even TVs are becoming so good today, cheap today. So you have to make the theater experience something extraordinary. And watching IMAX when I'm going to watch advertise is that. When I saw first time when I was blown away by the theater, the audio you have, the IMAX ratio, it is the most original you can get in India, and it is large. The 3D, they give you such big glasses for 3D, and normal theater 3Ds are just horrible. So they give you that experience that I'm willing to go travel so far just to watch the film.
I think, and I'm going to propose a small partial solution. I think in terms of the quote unquote content creators, you and I mean, we pour our heart and soul into these massive films and we employ thousands of people. I don't know what we could do more than what we already do.
That's true.
Frankly,
Not everyone, but there are few people who are putting so much effort to making that experience great with their films they are making.
I think we should look at maybe reducing the barrier to entry to young people coming in as filmmakers with VFX. Maybe generative AI can help with that. Maybe some other solutions. Democratize the tools and let more people be doing the type of fantastic filmmaking that you and I do. I think that's part of it. But the partial solution that I would offer is in the home or on any device anywhere, streaming is a 2D medium, whereas theaters can be a stereoscopic 3D medium. And everybody sort of feels like, well, that had its day and then it faded down, and there are a few exceptions that come along from time to time. But it really wasn't done properly when it was at its apex. And it was held back by two things. One, the studios made a conscious decision to assert control by doing conversion in post-production versus shooting natively, and that limited the quality of the 3D itself on the screen. And secondly, the exhibitors have never properly stepped up in putting in the new projection technologies that allow the image to be bright enough in the theater.
Yeah, that's why 3D films look so dull. whenever you go and watch in theater. I think recently 3D film I saw was Zootopia 2, and it great film, but you cannot really visually enjoy it so much. You know how visually stunning the film is. It's not as much fun. Of course, when you watching it, once you get into the film, you don't even think about all that. But you know when you just remove the glass, the difference, and yeah, it doesn't look that great.
If you solve those two problems, then everything could look like Avatar. I mean, maybe not in terms of the world building, but in terms of the image clarity and quality. And that's something that you can't have in the home. So to me, that's part of that
Make the theater experience unique.
premium experience that separates the movie theater from the home experience. We could revisit that as a solution. And by the way, you and I should talk about shooting in 3D. I want to see you. I want to see those slow motion tigers coming at me, and in 3D, and everything else that you do so beautifully and so wonderfully.
But I have one final question. Before I ask the question, one thing is like I'm really looking forward to go and watch Avatar again, Fire and Ash again, with lots and lots of people all around me, getting connected with them emotionally, but watching your
Right.
masterpiece on screen, just can't wait to see it. My last question is like one terrifying thought that's been there on the minds of on my mind and lots of filmmakers around the world like me about this generative AI disrupting the process of filmmaking. So do you think, are we in the near future or far future or whatever future, are we at a place where the visuals can be created the exactly way that you envisioned on paper by using the text prompts or image prompts? And if it happens, what happens to the creative artists? What happens to the content creators like us? So I want your thoughts on that.
Quite relevant.
I need to be very clear in my wording around generative AI. We've never used it on the Avatar films. Our process is a very linear process. It starts with writing, it goes through acting, and then we take those captured performances and then we build on them. We don't change the performance at all, but we just build the world around it, and we do all the lighting and the cinematography as a kind of a downstream process. So it's a bit of a strange process.
It's so interesting that that's almost like how animation works, where it's like the whole film, the acting is done, actors have gone home, they have done 5-10 movies, few years have passed, and now with that performance, with the data, you are now shaping how the camera will look, how the light will be, and reframing the camera angles and the motion, and like insane.
But it's effective in creating these characters and these stories. I believe that generative AI is very dangerous if it eliminates that sacred process of working with and through the actors to tell stories, because I find that to be a feedback process that's very positive for me and for the film. And I would say to young filmmakers that are drawn to these inexpensive tools that allow them to get their thoughts, their imagination into an image very quickly, I would say stop. Spend time with actors. Some of them don't even think about acting. They don't, I mean, there are young filmmakers coming up that they don't even know any actors. They think they can bypass that step. This is very dangerous, and I don't want to see those movies. And the reason I say that is because generative AI.
The human connect cannot go away. I'm sure there'll be like the whole Mahabharat AI thing that happened. There'll be a lot more that will come out, but it will not have its charm. Like you will not like the whole idea about someone told me like AI will make your videos, AI will make reviews. Then why will people watch you? I'm like, I don't think people just want a review of the film. Oh, how's the movie? They can ask ChatGPT, they'll get an answer. I don't think that's why. I think they connect to a human. They know me, they know my previous thoughts, previous reviews, what I said for that film, this film. They connect to that or they don't connect to that, and they want to know a new film is out. I want to know what Nona says, what his mind, his perspective, what his thought on this film is. That's what people are interested in. They're no longer just about review. Is that you can just read up, Google what's the review. That's it. no one should make a review at all then, so I think it's about the human connect. It's not just like when you're watching a film, if you don't see the human nature or human connect in that human has put in the thought, there's a story told by a human, he came up with or she came up with, and their life or something human touch is there. If it's not there, you're not able to connect at all.
Is trained on everything that's ever been done, but it can't be trained on that which hasn't been done.
Yep.
Right? So you could go and give a text prompt to a Gen AI model and say, show me something that looks like Avatar. It can do that. It couldn't do that before 2009, had it existed then. So what else is coming out of people's imaginations, out of their dreams, out of their imaginative process that it will not have been trained on? So that's one thing. And the other thing is, if you take everything that's ever been done and you put it into a blender and you turn it into a sludge, then you're always only going to get the average. You're not going to get the individual lived experience of an individual actor or an individual screenwriter or director, right? So you'll never get the unique, the strange, the quirky, the dysfunctional, whatever it is, that particular tiny lens that creates something totally unique. So it's limiting. So what you're going to get is the equivalent of network procedural cop shows and medical shows and all that sort of thing. And we've learned to accept mediocrity in a lot of our entertainment, but that's not what we go to the movie theater for. So I don't think it can ever actually just create that which you see, but I do think there are tools that can be created within that we can plug into our existing VFX workflow to deal with the problem that you've mentioned, which is because it's about human labor. Right? I mean, the reason the costs are going up is because the cost of living has gone up, and all of these artists that are working with these tools, I think 90% of the cost of a VFX shot is labor. Right? So I'm not saying we lose people. I'm saying we speed them up, make them more efficient, get the result of their labor more quickly, and then move on to the next thing. Because I see it being an endless need to create these
I think one of the big is the rotoscopy. It's like, if I want to cut out myself from the background and wherever I follow it's, exactly like how green screen is removed, right? Even then it's something is left, you have to clean it up. And like there are artists, people sitting just doing this frame by frame. 1 second has 24 frames, right? So 24 frames, they're doing the same thing. So it turns out to be perfect, and then you can seamlessly put it in a scene and put VFX and compositing, and it looks good. So like all this tedious work, all this things which take so much time, AI can be used to cut that down, make it seamless, it will make it better.
Imaginative worlds, an endless need for VFX. So people, if we can just do it quicker, we can bring the cost of these films down. And by the way, I would love to make an Avatar movie in 2 years instead of 4 years, because I'm running out of 4-year chunks at the age of 71, right?
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Some people are saying, I hope he like survives to make all the Avatar films he wants to.
That's the
He can.
words are very comforting, to say the least, and all the best with Fire and Ash. I know it's going to erupt in the theaters across the world. All the best to you, and like I said, can't wait to watch it in the theaters.
Okay, thank you. This has been fantastic. Thank you so much. I really have enjoyed our dialogue.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
And I'm going to hold you to that. I'm going to come to your set.
Yes, sir.
You can give me a camera. I like to operate. I can get some shots for you, some second unit maybe.
That's
you're just putting me on the moon. But I'll take that, and somehow I'll hold you on to that, and I'll bring you to Hyderabad. I'll bring you to my sets. Can't wait for that.
Okay, fantastic. All right, thank you.
So a cinematographer DOP credit for James Cameron at SS Rajamouli film. If that happens, that'd be wild. My thing is that what if he doesn't like what he shoots? Rajamouli is like, no, it doesn't look good. I want something else. He can do that. He's so particular about what he wants. I think he can say no to James Cameron also. But that would be amazing. I'm sure I hope it happens. I'm sure they're gonna, if it happens, they're gonna use it as promotional to show, oh, visited the sets and he saw the set and all of that. Maybe in the making or some video later. But that'd be fun if he comes in Hyderabad. I think he'll shoot in Hyderabad possibly, like, because such a great place to, and it's cheaper also for them to shoot. So interesting. Let's see what happens. But this was such fun. I know it's an Avatar themed interview, so they had to talk about Avatar only. But I wish they talked about something from Triple R also. Like James Cameron had some question about Triple R. That'd be cool. Maybe he did ask. They cut that part out. That's possible. It looks like it was a longer chat and they cut it short. But yeah, excited for the film more now, I would say, after watching this interview. Excited to watch it on the big screen. And the films have always visually, they are like, I remember I've told this before also, after one I saw on my laptop, it's not the same thing. I'm like, it's fine movie, it's overrated. Then I saw part 2 in theaters and I was mind blown. When part 3 trailer came out, I'm like, yeah, okay, we'll see part 3. And then I was in Bombay, I was watching F1 and they showed the trailer of Fire and Ash and I was mind blown with the visual and the sound and everything in IMAX screen. So I know it's going to be something special, but of course you want to see where the story goes and how the conflicts and characters and all of that. So looking forward to it. What an amazing combo. Great way to promote the film, I would say. Doing a good job there. But let me know your thoughts about this in the comments below and check out this next, and I will see you next time, and stay tuned for a vlog of Fire and Ash.